We both fail. Okay, so one hand thumbs up. Okay? Other hand, point to it. Okay? Now I need you to switch back and forth. So you do thumb on this side and point to it there. Okay? Now I need you to switch back and forth again. Same time. Again. Go faster. Switch. Switch. Did you guys end up doing like the double buns? You guys can have a seat. Actually, I'm just joking. That doesn't test your intelligence there. That just shows you our brain. It's called bimanual impedance. That's actually a component of our brain that's there for survival and efficiency. You're not supposed to be able to do that well. Okay? So it's okay. Everybody feel good about that. So the fact that you all couldn't do that well, that's okay. That's the brain that God made you, and it's amazing. Okay? But the reason for shortcuts and hacks like that, and we're going to get into it, it's really meant for survival. So our brain is going to default the most efficient way. So the reason that you've had such trouble with it is because you were asking each side of your brain to coordinate a different task in a different hand, which the brain doesn't like that for efficiency. Doesn't like that. It needs to be able to process other information for survival. Right? So an animal out in nature that needs to be on the lookout for predators and things, do you think an animal in nature needs to be able to do that fun thing with their hands there? No, because while they're distracted doing that, what's going to happen? A lion's going to come up and eat them, right? So, not really a good thing that we should evolve to be able to do. So we thought that was just a fun thing that we could start getting into. But I'm glad that you guys are here because this is a really, really important workshop. When we look at right now the state of where we're at with health in our country, we've gotten to this place that it's become that everybody is sick. Everybody ends up being on medication. We age horribly in this country. We age to where we have such cognitive decline. We can't remember things. I think if any of you were to truly deep down and think about how scary the aging process is, I think for every single person, when you really get down to it, the scariest component will be losing your memory. You guys agree? Like, forgetting who you are, forgetting who your kids are, forgetting who your grandkids are, forgetting what you've done in this life. That's an extremely scary thing to think about happening. And I want you guys to think right now, we've gotten to this place in our culture where it's expected that you have memory and cognitive decline with age. It's expected. Now, does any of you think that God made our body poor and weak, that our brain starts degenerating and breaking down? Does any of you truly think that? No. And I'm going to start off this workshop. We're getting into some really, really cool information, and you guys are going to leave here with solid action steps that you can start doing right away to make sure that you're preventing these problems from happening. But before we get into that, I got to bust some truths right now, and I want you guys to think about stuff that we've been taught in our culture, we've been lied to for a really long time. And so before I get into this, I need all of that out of your head so I can clear your brain. And we're going to go through a brain restart. Are you guys with me? We're going to let go of some limiting beliefs. You guys okay? Okay, so we are walking out of here, like, burying our limiting beliefs here, okay? So there is crap that we have held on to for way too long, and there are lies that we've been told. And, unfortunately, the way that our healthcare system is set up is it feeds into those lies. Thank God for our healthcare system for crisis situations, but it feeds into those lies. And it tells us that we're sick and we're weak and we're broken. And that is absolutely not the case. So when we look at aging is something that should be done with grace. You guys okay with that? Is that what we want? We want to age with grace. Your physical body is not meant to break down. It's not meant to. Harvard Medical School found we're meant to go 120 years with perfect condition in our bodies. No arthritis and degeneration. No deterioration. So does that mean that your heart's supposed to be breaking down at 50, 60 years old? No. Does that mean that we're supposed to be having memory issues? Studies are showing now that teenagers are starting to have memory decline. Teenagers. We're going to get into that. No, that's not supposed to be happening. We're seeing now, so the risk of Alzheimer's and dementia is about 1 in 8. 1 in 8 people. You guys know, though, by the time somebody turns 80 years old, it's 1 in 2. 1 in 2 chance. How many of you guys know somebody that's had Alzheimer's or some of a neurodegenerative disease? So neurodegenerative disease is dementia, MS, Parkinson's. Raise your hand if you have a loved one that's gone through that. You look around the room. This is impacting every single person. So we've got to be doing steps necessary and realize really pushing into everything, you guys are gonna have your best year that you've ever had. Are you guys there with me? You guys wanna do that? Okay. So we're gonna have the best year that we've ever had, but it comes with changing our mindset, and we've gotta move forward. Okay, so we are letting go of any doctor ever saying that you're never gonna come off these medications, you're never gonna heal, this is gonna continue to progress. We're letting go of that. Because no doctor can put a limitation on your healing, that's up to God. And our job is your responsibility. I'm gonna tell you the accountability right now. We're gonna lay it on the table. The only person responsible for making your life better is who? It's you. That's the only person responsible for making your life better. And I know that God put every single person here for a purpose, and it is your responsibility to take care of the one body that God gave you. You don't get a replacement. You don't get a replacement. And God does not give us what we can't handle, and I know that 100%, right? You guys believe that? God doesn't give us what we can't handle, but you ever feel like, God, how strong do you think I am? He knows how strong you are. Guess what? But if you've broken down physically, you're not ready to take that on. And whose responsibility is that? It's ours. It's our job to make sure our body is physically ready to take on whatever God is putting in front of us. And it's our responsibility to be ready for that. And do it not just for yourself, you do it for God to serve, you do it for your loved ones. Because if something happens to you, and we're going to get into this here, with dementia and this on the rise, who does it affect? Does it only affect you? No. It affects your family members, right? Think about what this feels like with your loved ones. You know, this was a really big workshop, going through this. It was really emotionally hard for me because I went through watching my grandmother go through all this. And I was a little bit younger, I was in middle school. But the hard part for me was seeing how it affected my mom. I remember when my grandmother finally forgot who my mom was. We went to visit her, and we walked out, and my mom was just bawling in the car. And she said, my mom doesn't even know who I am. And I saw, what that did. And I think about, I never want to put my kids through that. I have 2 little boys, and thank you guys for supporting the lemonade stand. We live in a very not good area. Our road isn't very safe for him to do lemonade stand because the one is so bad. You should be one of them. So thank you guys for supporting that. I don't want to put them through that. I don't ever want them to feel that way. And so I have a job and responsibility to take care of myself for them, to make sure that this doesn't decline. Okay? Because we look at this, it's now the other family members, not just the emotional cost, but let's talk about the also financial cost of it. It's a huge burden that this is putting on people. So the cost of good quality senior homes, for so many people, it's completely out of financial reach. It's something that isn't covered. And then, we're seeing where they're kind of taken into the home, and, for people who are working and have kids, it's a full-time job to take care of somebody who has lost their memory, doesn't know who they are on a continual basis. It's a really scary thing when this happens. And to find, you guys hear stories all the time, unfortunately, there are bad nursing homes. There's places where abuse happens. So, of course, it's your loved one. If you need help and assistance, you want to make sure they're going to the best place, and that comes with a huge price tag on it. So this is something that we have got to be thinking about the future, and even financially, that this is why we invest into our health now. So I get it, when you're focusing on your health, it's not free, right? I can tell you the easy, cheap way is not doing anything, right? Yeah, you're going to have to invest into your health right now, right? Eating healthier foods, which we're going to show you, it's not that much more to eat healthier foods, right? But it is more of an investment. Buying healthy supplements, right? You guys, making sure that you're exercising, doing all of these things, we're going to show you how to do it the most cost-efficient way. You shouldn't, I tell you right now, if you're having a gym membership and you guys are coming into the office, that's a waste of money to have that additional thing. It's something, if you're on a tight budget, you got to figure out ways that you can pull these things together. And if you need to be on a budget for healthy foods, you can't get it on the go, right? You're going to have to plan ahead. So there's strategies that we're going to have to be incorporated into this, but there has to be that financial investment into you now. memory that it would be like mid-sentence. I'm like, I have no clue what I was talking about. That's the worst feeling to have. But if you guys ever experienced it, it's really scary. You stumble on words, you get scatterbrained, those words that we look at, you experience regular brain fog, you can't process things, or your brain just feels like you can't fully think. I love when patients are actually building health, and they say it felt like this fog was lifted. For patients, have you guys experienced that? I mean, it's just incredible. You know, I love when I get adjusted. Do you feel like I can just see the world clear? And you go, you feel like you can just accomplish so many things and you can think clearly. There's actually some science behind that. So we're going to show you why that's happening. And you know, this brain fog thing, this is something that isn't recognized by medical science. It's something that it's used to describe symptoms. And medical science doesn't recognize anything until it's crisis. And so we look at all of these symptoms and warning signs. These are a big deal right now. If you're experiencing any of these, this is a red flag, and you sure as heck will be walking out of here with major action steps. If you're not experiencing any of these, wonderful, then let's make sure that you never have to experience any of these, okay? This stuff that we're going through also, I need you guys to apply this to your kids and grandkids. Please, you guys gonna do that? Because let's not wait until they're already deteriorated and broken down. I just told you that teenagers are already having memory lapses. So this has got to start to change. This isn't just for people that already have problems building up. So when we look at this here, this is where you just can't think clear. And this is what we're going to make sure doesn't ever happen to you. So dementia, Alzheimer's, brain aging, so we kind of talked about the stats of those happening. When I talk about statistics though, that's not a limiting factor. You guys know that you're going to do something different, so those don't apply to you. You guys there? So that 1 and 2 stat that I told you, you're going to be doing things so drastically different, that's not going to apply to someone. You guys good with that? That's if we sit back and do nothing, okay? You know, heart disease, we talk about, you know, 5 out of 6 people will have heart disease or cancer. That's if you're sitting back and not doing anything. If you do what the culture, everyone else in our culture does. And that's the problem, is culturally it is driving us to this place that our body isn't the way that God intended for it to be. Do you guys see that's why we have to work harder? You know, God put us on this earth and put us here, you know, to put certain foods in our body, to move our bodies, to live a certain way. And culturally, we're just not doing it the way that God designed us to. So you guys see how we have to start making these active changes right now to make sure that we don't end up that way. So we're going to be hitting on each of the 5 essentials here and making sure that we're pouring into it. So you guys know what we say with the 5 essentials? Are these things you get to pick your favorite? I wish it was, right? So how many of you guys have like a favorite essential? Yeah? You guys know what that is, right?
You guys don't lie, you all have a favorite.
Right? Everyone has a favorite essential. I have people that they're like spot on with nutrition. Spot on. They never exercise. I have people who are busting their butt at the gym and they're eating like crap, right? We cannot pick and choose which essentials that we want to follow, okay? This is all necessary. The word essential, what does that mean? Does that mean kind of, sort of, maybe one, two? No. These are all necessary to make sure that we're building health. These are areas that you have to look in. So patients, I want you to be honest with yourselves. You look at which essential you are not where you're slacking, and that's where you got to start building into it, okay? You want to have that up?
Well, I want to make it release actually 3. I missed this morning getting ready for the workshop, but that's kind of wicked.
All right.
So, okay, before we get into it, I know a lot of times you guys take pictures of slides, and we made this really easy. We put right up in that top right corner, there's going to be an action step icon. So when you see that, pay extra close attention, take a picture if you want it, but it's going to be an action step for you guys to do.
So we're going to be getting into one thing, and stress is a major problem. Okay? How many people feel stressed? It's okay. It's okay to feel stressed. And our body, God made us wonderfully that our body can adapt to stressors for short periods of time, right? So we're in nature, a lion's chasing us, our body can adapt to that stressor, and then the lion's gone, and then what happens? Whew, we get back to normal. Our body is not designed for chronic long-term stress, and that's what we do to ourselves. Our body doesn't know the difference between chemical, emotional, physical stressors. Our body doesn't know the difference. You guys know it's all perceived the same as if a lion is chasing us. You guys hear that, go home and you're like sleeping like a baby, which we have a baby right now, and that saying is just a lie. I don't understand that. Like waking up after a couple hours.
Yeah, they do that adjustment.
He's got teeth coming in, so I know I can say that. But it's constant stress that's going to be damaging. So I thought this was just pretty amazing. When we looked at stress, so they found that physical, chemical, and emotional stressors actually increase oxidative damage. That increases the aging process in your body. So not just within your brain, but how you look. Okay? So I'm going to go a little bit of vanity. We care, right? You don't want to age rapidly. So oxidative stress is what's going to continue to cause that aging process. They actually found it was pretty amazing. They looked at serum thiol levels, which these are levels that high levels of the thiols in the blood actually counteract the oxidative stress. They actually measured that people that were receiving adjustments for 2 years or more, routine chiropractic adjustments, had constant higher levels of serum thiol in their body. I can't tell you how many people come in and they say, you know what, I just feel like I can start to handle stress better. Nothing's changed in my life, I feel like I'm handling it better. Do you guys see what that is? So if your body, when your nervous system is being stimulated, your serum thiol levels are actually more elevated. And that's how we need to combat that oxidative stress. So by you having those adjustments, it actually allows your body to adapt to stressors at a higher level. So you see if the stressor comes, you can handle it, and then your body can back off because of those serum thiol levels. So there's things that God gave us in our body to protect us. And if you're somebody that's under chronic stress, you've got to do more to make sure that you're supporting your body. Does that make sense? So do you guys understand that? Okay, maybe there's a situation in life that you're going to be under more stress and you can't change it, but then you've got to work on that support side of it. That's why we tell patients, get in for a few more adjustments this week. If you're under a lot more stress, okay, that's okay. Let's get you adjusted. Let's make sure that those thiol levels are up, and you see how you can handle it a lot better. So these are ways that strategies that we can start to go through it. But when we really look at what happens to the brain cells, it doesn't allow for those connections. Your hippocampus, the adult brain actually stops growing. It doesn't get any bigger. But your hippocampus, part of your brain, is constantly regenerating new nerve connections. So you should be a lifelong learner and constantly regenerating nerve cells. Because if you're not regenerating nerve cells, what's happening in the brain? If you're not regenerating, what are they doing? They're dying off, right? So you're not just staying the same. We talk about with health, you're not just staying in one place. You're either building health or you're getting sicker. And so you actually have to be constantly regenerating new ones to make sure that we're moving forward when it comes to health. But this is one thing that really causes chronic stress is unnecessary worry causes unnecessary sickness. Do you guys know that they did a study about 92% of the things that you worry about are never going to happen? Never going to happen. Are completely unnecessary causes of worry. They actually found about 8% of things that you legitimately worry about are things that are like real, things that you should. Every emotion is justified. You know, so we look at anxiety and depression and all those things as like bad things. You know, those are human emotions. We're supposed to experience a wide variety of emotions. Worry is a good human emotion. All of those are necessary for different stages in life. But we shouldn't be stuck in one of them. Do you guys see that? We should be stuck in one. But I don't want you to ever feel like you're in a season where there is something that you legit should be worried about. Like, that's okay, right? Don't think something's wrong with me right now. Okay, but realize that's only 8%. So should that be a lot of your seasons? No, 92%. You should not be in the season of worry, right? And so we've got to make sure that we don't have that unnecessary worry coming out because it does lead to sickness. This is actually, stress is going to cause our adrenal glands to start to tank. Adrenal fatigue is major. There are so many people that are undiagnosed with chronic adrenal fatigue. And this is something that doesn't allow you to have energy, you can't sleep at night. If people feel like they're waking up constantly, there's times that your adrenals are stressed out. And so we have to be able to calm them down and do things from a supportive stance.
Do you remember just a couple of years ago when they were scaring us with Ebola? They said they found a case in Dallas. We had just flown through Dallas Airport that weekend, and then they said they found another case in Jacksonville next week. We lost sleep over that. Like, you get a fever or a cough, like, oh my gosh.
You're not listening to everyone.
Whatever it is that they just see. So the point of what we're saying is just don't stress about this stuff like that. Just take care of yourself, build health, and it's not an issue.
Look at the things that are actually important in life. Okay, so we left her house and Zach said this morning, he goes, my house is a mess right now. And I was like, I know that normally stresses me out, but I'm worried about things that are important right now.
But this is brain fit day.
This brain fit day. I'm here that my house is a mess right now. And I really back my mind, I was like, oh gosh, it's so embarrassing when my house is right. But you realize that you have to learn, you guys see that when to let things go. But society drives this unnecessary worry and fear. So the number one action step is shut off the TV. Shut off the news. Why the heck are you listening to that? Nothing good is ever talked about. And you know, I'm not going to get too much into this, but you guys realize that the point of what the media is doing, there's a lot of distraction that happens. There's a lot of distraction on what's going on. So the media and what's focused on the news is to constantly drive worry and fear into us. We can't live a life like that. That's not what God wants for us, right? To live in a place of hopelessness and worry. So shut off the TVs, right? I'm not saying like don't ever be aware of what's going on, but why at the end of the day when you're processing your day or there with your family, do not turn on the news. That's the worst place to put your mindset into, right? If you want to pick, I think like one time a week to sit down and like kind of read about what's going on in the world, and that puts you in a really crappy place, and I find something positive to do afterwards. But don't do it on a daily basis, okay? So if you guys can get to that, if you're somebody that's like a downer sitting there like seeing what's happening, like yes, it is horrible, but there's a lot of good, right? And be the change. If you look out that's what's happening, you be someone who's driving things to start to change. It does no good for you to turn that on and bring yourself into a bad place. But if you look at it, there's always something new that the media is putting for fear on you, right? There's always something. As soon as one thing's over, the next thing's gonna come on. I promise you. Start paying attention to that, okay? And don't let it affect you. Do not let that drive you. So we're going to be going through essential number 1. We're going to be managing stress and learning how to be brain fit. So you guys know we've been doing some brain teasers in the office, right? I know you feel really frustrated when you can't solve those. But when you did solve them, how awesome did you feel? You guys know there's a reward center in our brain that when we succeed at doing something, it actually increases dopamine in the brain. So when we do something and accomplish it, it increases dopamine, which is something that brings on happiness to us. So we're going to talk about how to really work out your business.
Does anyone know that one in the middle? It should be easy to lay up.
Because that's just one. Trying to increase dopamine, guys. 5 essentials. Oh, you guys are so smart. Look at that dopamine.
Okay, that one was harder.
Hold on. Ready for it.
Okay. So you have about 20 seconds. You're going to put the days of the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in alphabetical order. Say it in your mind,
Alphabetical order. Okay?
and just put your hand up.
20 seconds.
And you got the order.
Oh, so those brains working?
Okay. Answer.
How many people got it right? Alright, so I want you guys to right now, don't overthink this, but I want you guys to think of a color right now. First color that comes to mind. First color. Okay, think of a color. First color that comes to your brain. Now I want you guys to think about a tool. First tool that comes to your brain. Okay? Color and a tool. You guys got it? How many of you guys have red hammer?
That's why I couldn't figure it out fast.
So the whole point of that activity was to distract your brain. Okay, that was it. So you guys trying to figure out things, which that was really hard, right? It's kind of hard with those. But that was to distract your brain. Our brain has shortcuts. So I told you earlier that it wants efficiency. So the brain has these default shortcuts that it goes to. The reason that we knew that the majority of you, not everybody, but the majority of you choose red is because that's a color shortcut in our brain. Is that we use default. So our brain allows us to make quick decisions. And so there's shortcuts that happen. So it's for a fight or flight survival stance. And a tool, one of the most common tools for a brain shortcut is hammer. So that's why a lot of people guess this, right? We didn't freeze your mind.
Well, when you ask a younger kid too what their favorite color is, most most of the time, even if they don't really know color, they say red. For the longest time, Jude's favorite color before he knew any color was red. He was just saying it because that was what he should say.
So the reason that we wanted to show you this activity and really how the brain shortcuts work is because of dopamine, which this is really, really important because dopamine is the key for human survival. Dopamine is necessary in order for us to be able to make decisions that drive us towards safety. Okay, so dopamine drives us to make decisions that we're safe and comfortable and wants to direct us away from danger and discomfort and hurting. You guys see how that's necessary if you guys were out in survival? You guys see how that would be part of the brain that was needed? The problem is though, the way that our culture is right now, the majority of the time, do you guys agree we're comfortable? You don't ever have to think of food. I know there's times that you manage big meals, but like, there's literally food you can eat. I know there's times I open my fridge, like, there's nothing to eat, and there's like a fridge full of stuff. You guys there, right? So we rarely ever actually have to be starving, right? In that circumstances, I mean, there's food corners everywhere. So you're not stranded in a place that you're starving without food. There's rarely a state that you're actually in survival now, the way that we are. So what happens is normal times when the dopamine would go up, when you would have food. So think about if you're in the wild, you haven't had food for days, and you come upon food, what do you think your brain's gonna do? What's dopamine gonna do? Oh, it's just gonna flood the brain because you're so happy because you have food and there's this reward center, right? And that drives your survival. Do you feel like that every time you have a meal now? Sometimes it's really good. But the majority of the time you just like to get your food and eat, and dopamine doesn't actually go up with it. And so the
the habit loop. And I've been reading this book called The Power of Habit, and it looked at first a study that Duke University did, and they found that 40% of our actions throughout the day are purely habit. We make no decision in what we're doing for almost half of the things that we do during the day. And this loop, cue, routine, reward, builds on that. So this is how every habit is formed. We need a cue. Sometimes, that trigger is something visual. It's a time of day. It's a person. It's an emotion. It could be a smell. Whatever that cue is, triggers then a routine. So I've been talking about this for the last 5 or 6 weeks to our team. So I'm probably tired of me using this example. I just wrote an article for Maximize Living talking about how chocolate is the key to health. And it sounds good. I should.
You guys good with that?
But it builds on this loop. So we get a cue, and if we're talking about exercising, we need to get a new exercise routine, or we need to get into the habit of exercising daily. The cue may be something visual, like setting your clothes at the foot of your bed, or in your bathroom, or setting running shoes right by the door so when you see them, you grab them. And whatever it is, whatever routine you're trying to create, your cue has to be strong enough to make you actually go into the action, to do the action. It has to be a strong enough trigger. It can't be something like, I see a gym shirt there, like, okay, cool, I just walk past it. It has to be something that will trigger the action that you're trying to do. So then, once you do the actual routine, the action, there needs to be a reward, something that you get. So a piece of chocolate, advancement chocolate, of course, an advancement treat, or the endorphin rush that you get after exercise or after an adjustment, whatever it is. It only takes about a week and a half of getting that reward for your brain to then associate the routine with the reward itself. So there's a lot of time we talk about it takes 21 days to create a new habit, or it takes X amount of time. It varies from person to person, and it's dependent on the action. Some takes longer than others, but it always starts with this. So I encourage you guys, if you're trying to get a habit or into a habit of making healthy choices, find a strong cue or a strong trigger, get the routine in place, and then find a reward that's going to be building on that health as well. And over time, that becomes just second nature. You don't decide on it, it just happens.
Well, and know that it's your human nature to run away from pain and discomfort. Okay, so the reason that people don't want to start working out is, what are you associating working out with? Pain and discomfort. That's the reason that you don't want to start working out. So it's called the pleasure principle, and you have to start looking at the work as a labor of love. So Henry Ford said there should be joy in work, because without work, there's nothing that we actually accomplish, right? There's no joy in anything in life if we actually don't accomplish anything. So you need to think about, in order for you to gain something that is going to bring you happiness and comfort, so think about it. You start working out, what's going to happen? Your energy levels are going to improve. You're going to feel better about yourself, right? You're going to be sleeping better. Your hormones are going to be regulated better. We're going to get into, it's actually going to make your brain healthier and stronger. All of these things are amazing, right? Those are rewards. So why don't we think about those when we're going into a workout? All we think about is this momentary
store this morning buying all the lemons to the lemonade. We walked by the Entenmann's display. Jude goes to me, Dad, you know, I really wish that these were healthy. Why? I said, because they look good. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I've never had one. I was like, well, you know, I see people buying them all the time, so they must be good. I just really wish that they were healthy too, because I know that they can't because we never have them.
So, you know, we just have to be looking at the long term, you know, but we've gotten to where he knows that he has that food, he feels like crap. So you know what that has trained in his brain? He has a dopamine reward and spike when he knows that he eats healthy because he has more energy to play and have fun. Think about that. You associate with a kid, you know what, we have a lot of fun stuff planned. You need to eat all this food to make sure that you have all the energy to play. Like, you've got to start saying these things with your kids and your grandkids, and I promise you, by you talking differently about it, with those positive affirmations, it's changing your thoughts and the way that you're looking at it as well. You have to get away from that negative so you can start bringing dopamine back up. So when we look at the negative self-talk and positive self-talk, this is another component of the dopamine. So we have to sit there and give ourselves some beliefs, positive beliefs, in knowing you will succeed will actually release dopamine. So I can tell you something super easy. So when people say, like, you know, I really, like, I have to do this, like, I hope I can follow this. We're going to do a 4-week nutrition challenge following this. We have some people who are going to be going over some juicing, that we're going to be juice fasting as well. And so people say, like, man, I really hope I can get through this. I hope I can do it. I need you to say, I know I'm going to do this. You guys go with that? So you say, I know I'm going to do this. Say that. I know I'm going to do this. You guys believe it? It doesn't sound like it. Ready? All right, so say, I know I'm going to do this. You have to say it. You guys know what? You guys should have dopamine up in your body. You started bringing dopamine back up by that positive affirmation and that certainty in knowing that you're going to accomplish it. And if you tell yourself in that way, do you think you're going to let yourself down? Guess what? Because now you're triggering survival mechanisms in the brain. So those are brain hacks. You can't. You're not going to let yourself down when it comes to that. The way that you're going to let yourself down is if you're in this negative self-talk. You're never going to give yourself a chance to get through it. Okay? So think about the thoughts that are going through your head. And when it's in a negative place, replace it with a positive that you know it's going to happen. Okay? You guys see how you can start to do those things? Okay. And really, when you start to hear, you guys at workshops, you guys have had, you know, where we've done the rubber band trick on your wrist, right? How many patients were here with that? When a negative thought went through your head, what'd you do? Popped it. And it was crazy. Patients were like, look at how red my wrist is. I was like, you're really mean to yourself. You're really mean. The words that you're saying to yourself are mean, right? And so you're going to avert from saying those things. And so, you know, there's just, you got to be aware of that person that's constantly talking to you, okay? Because you're in your own way. You're your own worst enemy right now. The way that you're going to succeed is by changing the way you're thinking through this. And I've got, like, please do this with your kids and grandkids again. Okay? When they say, you tell your son, Zobas, don't say I can't. Like, that's not a word. You don't say that I can't. Okay? So start looking at those things and really pushing that into them.
I did say that once. Dad, you say that. When she was saying, everyone gets some dopamine. Who thought like I was like, okay, you get some dopamine. I thought,
Everybody gets dopamine! Alright, so that was our overtime here. So that if he's creating a positive attitude, hang out with positive people. If you have that negative Nancy in the group, if you are that negative Nancy in the group, stop. Because you're only hurting yourself and the people that you love around you. Okay? Stop. Hang out with people who are encouraging and loving, and if that person is negative in your life, it's okay, still love them, but distance yourself for a little bit. Okay?
hard. Most people do this.
I don't pretend this is our question. Okay, you guys got it down? Keep looking down. Look down. And I want you guys to take a deep breath. A little bit hard, right? Now I want you guys to sit up, sit on the edge of chairs. Sit up tall. Take a deep breath. Those are some breaths right there. You guys feel that oxygen going into your body? What does your brain need? Oxygen. hanging out, right? You're not requiring a ton of oxygen. I want you guys to stand up once. Time to shine. Quick. Really quick.
Let's do 20 seconds. 20 seconds.
Go.
20 seconds. Quick fires. Let's go.
Go. Just 20 seconds. How are you? Go.
Is that no way? I'm making quick fires and talking to me. Let's go. 10 more seconds. Gotta get your heart rate up. Gotta go quick. Time.
All right, good pulse. Speed up, right? Why is your body doing that? Your muscles need more oxygen, right? You asked your body, your muscles said, brain said, hey, muscles move, right? You asked if you guys can see. Your brain asked your muscles to move. Your muscle said, okay. Your muscle said, I need more oxygen though, for energy. So your muscle sent a signal back up. So the brain said, okay, I'll give you more oxygen. So your lungs started going faster to pull more oxygen in. And what your heart started doing, started beating faster to do what? To pump the oxygen down to the muscles. Like, that's pretty cool what just happened, right? We don't really think about that. Now, is there something wrong with you that your heart rate is up right now? No. That's a good thing. That's a healing response that your body is going through. It's adaptation because you're asking it to do something else. That's called heart rate variability. Your vagus nerve actually coordinated all of that. Your vagus nerve coordinated all of those things happening. High vagal tone is important, is necessary for proper healing within the body. And they found that people that had vagal tone where it should be, that it actually regulates the inflammatory process and will actually regulate and prevent against insulin resistance. So it actually allows your vagus nerve coordinates blood sugar balance. That's not what we're told, right? A nerve actually is what coordinates signaling for insulin balance in the body. And we're going to get into it right now where we talked about how, diabetes, we guys are coming to the workshops. Diabetes is something that, type 2 diabetes is on the rise. But not even if you're diagnosed, if your blood sugar is just higher in the hundreds, that's actually a very, very dangerous sign that you're headed for degenerative decline in the brain. Your blood sugars are on 100. Because now they're finding that the neurodegenerative diseases are actually a form of type 3 diabetes. It's never been talked about before. Medical professionals just started to look into this because now they thought that there were no receptors. There's actually insulin receptors in the brain. So your blood sugar not just affects your body, but what does it affect? Your brain. And if there's abnormal metabolism within the brain tissue, do you think it's going to be regenerating or dying? It's dying. So blood sugar imbalances, I want you guys to think about right now. If you're somebody who your blood sugar is not right, you got to take this serious. It should, depending on what you're going through times of the day, there's a challenge test that you can do. So normal blood sugar, you want it typically be around like 70 to 80 is where your body wants to stay. But it depends between meals. It's going to fluctuate. Okay? But the problem is if you're between meals and you're still having those levels be high, that's a sign of insulin resistance. That your body isn't able to pull it out the way that it's supposed to. When we're having crashes up and down and up and down. How many of you guys feel like after you eat, you like got energy and then what happens? You crash. It's a sign of insulin resistance. Okay? And that starts early on. You can see teenagers already having insulin resistance. And that's years before they would ever get diagnosed with diabetes. And then the answer is what? Medications, right? It's not an answer. So you see, even if you're taking insulin, the brain's still metabolizing abnormally. So what's happening to your brain? Even if symptoms look good, even if your blood tests look good and your symptoms are good, but you're on medication for it, the brain is still declining. And so we've got to get our body. So the number one thing I want you guys to see is when we look at the nervous system, we have to make sure that we're getting our proper vagal tone. And one of the things is looking at lifestyle factors. So when you're looking down here, it actually adds pressure onto the spinal cord. So you guys see the difference in when you're starting to look down? That's 60 degrees of pressure, which they found is the average position that people are in when they're looking at their phone. It actually causes 60 pounds of pressure. If you think you're having proper nerve signaling and function, They come in with a completely straight or reverse curve.
They found the average person on their phone about 4 hours in a day. 4 hours a day spend looking down like this. So there's some cool apps out there that will track the amount of time. The one I've been using is called Moment. It's a free app. You can download it. It tracks you. You can set an alert if you're on your phone. I set mine to be really obnoxious and how I use it at 2 hours. And I found that it's still pretty easy because I actively try to not use it. So I average around 45 minutes to an hour a day, but the average is 4 hours. Kids are on it even more. I mean, it's becoming a...
So I can tell you the best thing is you and your family, you got to promise you're not going to mad at each other, okay? When someone's looking down at a phone and you see here,
Just take a picture and
you know what
post on
you do?
Facebook.
Take a picture of them. Yeah, when they see how bad they look, looking down. You know, I saw a picture like one time I was like this, like, oh my gosh. So I have to take a picture, or you gently grab their hands, bring them up here, okay? And then just give them a big smile with love, so they're looking at you.
That's not enough.
Right?
You gotta snap it. You gotta Snapchat.
Or you can gently push on their back here, lift them up, okay? Just that reminder, okay? We all gotta watch each other and help. Because if you're having this pressure on there, there's nerve damage that's happening. I mean, that's the only way to put it. It's not just about bad posture. I joke that you look bad, but it's not just about bad posture. It's about neurological damage that's happening there. We're not actually getting things going up to the brain the way that it's supposed to.
So the warning has been issued. If I see in the hot seat area where we're warming up, so let's go.
Pictures. Looking at a standing desk, trying to change positioning as much as possible. If you guys need for patients, like, I can work with you guys out. If you need like ergonomic requests at work, how you can change like the position that everything is in, that's really, really important. Because this can actually cause negative health outcomes. Okay, this isn't just like, oh, I want to be more comfortable. This is negative health outcomes are going to be happening if we don't change your lifestyle factors. If you already have degeneration or arthritis, the more time that you spend sitting down, the more decline is going to happen. And that's the reality of it.
So with this, if you're not able to get a standing desk at work for whatever reason, another option is called active seating. And that's why we have those wobble cushions in all the hot seat areas. It allows more dynamic range of motion. You can go through a full range of motion with the hips and the back. It keeps your hips and the back from locking up. So at the very least, you see like sitting on a stability ball or just bringing your wobble cushion with you to work and sitting on that.
So this is a child. You guys see, if you guys know, we look at these red lines where the curve meets feet, 45-degree curve. It's a child came in with a 4-degree curve. Now, how well do you think that child's body is still functioning? Not good, right? So that child, there's nothing wrong in how God designed that body with no interference. You guys see that interference? You can clearly see that interference. The top two bones right there is where the brain transitions down. So the child wasn't sleeping well, was having behavioral problems, was having issues with learning, other health issues, immune system issues. So nerve signals actually regulate immune function. And so one of the components of some of the neurodegenerative diseases like MS is actually an immune system, an autoimmune component, and they found that it's improper nerve firing. Because when you lose that curve, the spinal cord becomes frayed and it demyelinates. That's MS, demyelination of the spinal cord. As soon as you're losing that curve, that child already has tension and demyelination occurring on the spinal cord. So what do you think that child's life is going to be set for later on? Sickness, disease, medication. That's not how God designed this child to be. You look at getting that corrected, now what do you think is happening with that child? Their body's healing, right? Now when you look at that child's body, when you look at that curve there, that's everything signaling, the brain and body connecting. That's neurotransmitters being imbalanced. That's their memory improving. That's their immune system functioning the way that it's supposed to. Guess what? That child is doing incredible in school with no medication, with no help. We don't need help. We just need no interference, right? We've got to retrain the body and get it out of that position. So we look at the specific adjustments, for patients, when you guys don't want to do those home exercises, when you've been sitting for a long time,
specifics on nutrition because we're going to be back here Tuesday night. We're doing a live podcast with Trinity Church on Tactical Pastor. So we're not going to be doing this a ton in depth. We're going to be going through the specifics with how nutrition impacts your brain, but the more overarching nutrition information is going to be Tuesday night. You can watch it live or you can come here. But when we get into it, a lot of times we're eating foods, we're consuming foods that we have an allergy to, a sensitivity to. We don't even realize it's causing inflammation. It's causing our brain to be more taxed, and it's weakening it, it's damaging it. So when we look at things like dairy, soy, and grain, those are things that started out as something that would build health, but then over
So
time.
the biggest argument that we have when we talk about cutting out grains and bread, Jesus ate bread. I just know you guys would do that one, right? But you know what? That bread was different.
Yeah.
That bread was actually real, whole, healthy grains that God made. But you know what our grains are now? They're hybrids. We went in and nested them. Man went and nested them. They're not the same grains that were used. Okay? So this is why it's different. Okay? So I'm going to get that out there right now. We're going to teach you to eat congruently with how God designed your body. Yes, God made things, but man has altered some of these things. Okay, you guys understand that? That's why they're not bad for us.
Do this.
Yeah.
So, as you're saying, grain started out with only a few hundred types of grain. Now we're over 10,000 hybridizations of grain. When you look at soy, something that's been genetically modified, it's not what it once was. And even if it was pure, not genetically modified, we went through this when we went through our gut repair workshop. It causes hormone imbalances because of what it does in the xenoestrogen and anti-nutrient properties. It causes a negative form of estrogen to be dominant in our systems. And then with dairy, a lot of times, that's the thing that doctors are saying, we use formula, and it's dairy-based or milk-based, and we're not supposed to eat dairy. The only time that anything eats it in nature, a cow would eat dairy in nature is when it's a calf, it's becoming a cow. So, I know this is Dr. Aaron's joke. We say if dairy or milk is used to turn a calf into a cow, what do you think it does to us? Yeah. It's meant for weight gain. So,
I deliver the joke.
She does. I don't say it as a joke, I say it like kind of down. So dairy, a lot of times, is what we think of. We need that for calcium, for strong bones. But when we go into the nutrition workshop, we talk about how many different ways you can get dairy or calcium into your system without relying on milk or cheese or other things.
So just kind of back to Alzheimer's really quick, and dementia, is where we have those foods that actually triggers inflammation in the gut that causes leaky gut. Leaky gut is actually now finally being recognized by the medical profession. The reason that it wasn't is because there wasn't an actual test that could say, you definitively have leaky gut. They're actually developing these things now that can show where there is the enzyme being released, but so it triggers these abnormal proteins to get into our bloodstream, and then our body initiates an immune response. And our body does it right? If there's something in our body that shouldn't be there, what should the immune system do? Get rid of it. So the body's doing the right thing, but the problem is the inflammation allowed those proteins to go in. These the things that I'm showing you, the soy, the dairy, the modified wheat, it triggers the inflammatory process. Well, then those actually go and they sit in different areas. They can actually go into the brain. And then there's an autoimmune attack that starts to occur in there. And so with medical science, they found that for years they were saying there's no lymphatic system in the brain. Just 2 years ago, they actually found that there is. So you guys understand that medical science is constantly changing. We still don't understand how the body all works. So that's how we talk about the best doctors, what God gave you. We got to do more to do this because medical science is still trying to catch up to figuring out what the heck is going on. So we need to make sure that we're cutting those out and keeping this healthy.
So we talk about adding specific nutrients or specific foods into your diet to increase brain health. We're looking at things that through nutrition and through farming we are drastically completely deficient in. The first one is going to be magnesium. So we're talking about dark leafy greens. We're eating nuts and seeds that are going to be almonds, pine nuts, walnuts, cashews, beans and lentils, avocado, and whole grains as long as they're sprouted and not hybridized. So we're talking about the Food for Life is one of the brands. You can go with the Ezekiel, but check again to make sure that you're not using soy in it. There's other sprouted whole grains that you can get if it's just too difficult to remove entirely. But when we talk about it being in a healing crisis, and we have to reduce inflammation even more, those are something that has to come out.
If you already have blood sugar imbalances, we have to put grains out altogether. You guys realize you're in a crisis point there? So to get you out of crisis point, we got to be more strict. Then you can add those things back in. It's not a forever, but it's to get you out of crisis point. Okay, that's how we have to remove those.
Folate, so when Dr. was talking about pregnancy brain, we see deficiency in certain B vitamins. A lot of times what's fortified in the food that we're getting is folic acid, a synthetic version of folate that causes an inability to absorb other B vitamins, and it creates B deficiencies throughout the entire system. So we look at a natural food-based form of folate, and that's going to be in your, again, dark leafy greens, artichoke, Brussels sprouts, avocado. The list is up there. So that's why we have the action step. Take pictures of these, make note of this. These are things that we're going to be adding in, because what's fortified, when you see the cereals and other processed foods, they're fortifying it with something that's going to block the absorption of other B vitamins and cause deficiencies.
So they found about 50% of the population right now has a gene mutation that when you're consuming folic acid, the synthetic version of it, that it blocks your actual receptors to absorb natural folate. So when you're eating a food that's fortified with folic acid, it blocks the absorption. When you're actually eating whole healthy foods, you're actually not absorbing the nutrients in that. Isn't that insane? So you're taking a synthetic vitamin, thinking this is giving you more nutrients, and it's actually preventing you from absorbing the actual nutrients in the food. So about 50% of the population has that. Those are pretty good odds. If you haven't actually been tested for that genetic mutation, we just recommend cutting it out. Because folic acid is synthetic, and so watch, so many things are fortified with it. So many supplements are going to have folic acid in it as opposed to folate. Okay, so really pay attention to that.
And then lastly, zinc. This is something that we've been really noticing a lot with deficiencies. A lot of people coming in with symptoms with brain fog and just overall health issues, and it's a depletion of this mineral. So zinc is a huge thing to be adding in. But that would be where we're adding more of the animal-based products, grass-fed beef, kefir or yogurt, lamb, chickpeas, pumpkin seeds. Chicken is going to be another option, but when we're talking about animal products, this is where, if you have extra room in the budget to invest in a healthier option, this is where it goes first, with natural source animal products. So be organic dairy, ideally unpasteurized or raw. If we're talking about beef, it's 100% grass-fed. If we're talking about chicken, it's going to be free-range or pasture-raised. And we talk about this more in depth at Nutrition 101 and nutrition workshops. The term cage-free doesn't mean anything different other than we're giving the companies and manufacturers more money for a buzzword that essentially is doing the same thing. It's no other extra health benefits other than it's a bunch of chickens in a large room rather than individual cages.
So the healthier meats are usually what cost more in the budget. So you guys, the 4-week nutrition challenge that we're giving you is actually putting an animal products in it. We did that so we can help everybody to get out the component of the increased budget. And also, when we're going through this repair and brain restart, we want to cut out animal proteins because they're tougher on your digestive system. If we want to get inflammation down, you guys see we're going to cut those out for a period. So we're meant to have, we consume way too much meat. We're meant to have it in small amounts every now and then, not every single day. So think about if you were to catch your own food, you're not going to have large amounts of meat every day. It would be like a maybe once a week type thing. And this was different. I grew up in Wisconsin where it was like
it'll say like the recommended daily allowance for a ton of different nutrients, but sugars, there's never like a percent daily value of how much sugar you're consuming. It just kind of flies under the radar. They're changing the nutrition facts now where they'll add the amount of added sugar or whatever, but it still is not saying anything about just how much of sugar you should be eating or consuming. So it's something that flies really under the radar. A lot of times people don't realize just how much sugar they're taking in. So we have specific juices selected with lots that we're using because they're low sugar. And I would say that's probably one of the biggest troubles when you go to the grocery store and you go to try to pick up the pre-made juices or you buy something like the smoothie already made. There's a ton of added sugar.
So those healthy fruit drinks, if you look at how much sugar is in those, it's insane.
It's like 40 to 50 grams of sugar in some cases for just a small 8-ounce bottle. So it's really easy for that to just fly right past us without even giving it any other thought.
So Watts did a custom juice cleanse for us that's all like advanced things. So it's low sugar, reducing things that are lower on the glycemic index. I know a common thing that people have with juices is carrots, but what we're trying to heal out of the crisis, carrots are higher in sugar, higher than the glycemic index, how it's broken down in the body. So we want to reduce as much as possible. So this is all green juices, advanced and low sugar, and it's awesome. So we did a custom one for us, Gold City Cleanse. We'll be going through that for everyone who's like ready to just like start going with this.
So the other option then I thought that I was kind of alluding to is the artificial sweeteners, the artificial sucrose and sucralose and aspartame. There's a ton of different names. I was looking online for some of the different names. A lot of the manufacturers of aspartame, you call aspartame a bunch of different things.
So everybody I think knows that aspartame is not great right now, right? You guys, there's more studies coming out. The biggest study actually came out and found that it actually destroys nerve cells, kills them. That's a big study that came out.
It's linked to lymphoma and leukemia as well. So
Yeah, they linked it to lymphoma and leukemia. Aspartame.
Just to go through it, this has become the diet sweetener. So if you're trying to lose weight, don't drink the regular soda, drink the diet soda or the whatever zero, because there's no sugar. And they've actually done a ton of studies looking specifically at weight loss, and they've found that it doesn't do anything to BMI, it doesn't do anything to overall weight loss. It just actually increases cravings for sugar and it dulls the part of the brain that says, okay, I've had enough. It makes you crave sweet more often. So manufacturers know that we're on the lookout for these different types of sweeteners, so they've changed the name. For aspartame, you could also have to look for now APM, amino sweet.
Amino sweet sounds healthy, right?
It does, it sounds natural.
That's actually aspartame.
Equal classic. Nature Taste Blue and NutraSweet regular. Also you have to look for Twin Sweet for saccharin, acid saccharin, NectaSweet, sodium saccharin, Sweet Low, Sweet Twin, and then for sucralose there's about 6 different names. 1,4,6 trichlorogalactosucrose. Sounds fancy. Trichlorosucrose, equal sucralose, Natural Taste Gold, and Splendid. So I mean, those are all things that are being hidden in the ingredients label because they know that we're on the lookout for something that has negative health implications. We just have to, unfortunately, always be staying up to date with the regulations
Go back to that outside. So look at the Centrum Kids. You guys want that aspartame in it? Please. So we're going to be going over specific supplements that are going to be important. I want you guys, when we do nutrition consultations, we have them bring in their supplements. Do you guys know how many supplements go in the drug rehab can because of the crap that's in them? If you're taking a supplement, do not waste your money on something that's damaging your health. You know, people give that to their kids thinking you're giving them a healthy multivitamin. It actually has things that are neurotoxic to them. So
have to leave them, but most people don't. Okay. So we have any more smoothie back there?
This is awesome. You guys take a picture of this one. This was a really good easy smoothie to do. But you're getting, so it is avocado, banana, blueberries, walnuts, the grass-fed whey protein, the vanilla, and a cup of water. Super easy to make and tastes really, really good. It's going to be filling for you. It's going to help stabilize your blood sugar levels. And it's really good.
So your action step for tomorrow, number one is to set your mind, wake up earlier and do something to recognize and show gratitude for what you have. Then for breakfast, you're going to either, if you're not doing one of the juice cleanses, you're going to make yourself a healthy breakfast. It's this smoothie. So get pictures of this one. It's super easy. We made it in probably about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that.
So this is going to be something that you start your day respecting and honoring your body and pour in some good stuff, right? So you're starting the day honoring God and honor Him by taking care of your body, putting some nutrients in there. That is an amazing way to start this is going to set the tone for all the decisions that you're going to make with what you're putting in your body the rest of the day. You guys get that? You got to set the tone with it right away. So these are some different routes that happen when it comes to Alzheimer's disease. Type 3 diabetes, we spoke about. So when there's blood sugar imbalances, this is increasing your risk of having Alzheimer's. Okay? So we have to regulate blood sugar levels. If you haven't done any pushes with it, you have to, okay? So we're going to give you a 4-week challenge, and I encourage you, if you're at a point that you've been on tons of medications and you're just ready, to go all on out with juice cleanse. It's going to restart you really quick. Okay, I always tell patients, when you struggle with cutting out sugar again, if you just go intense, is anybody there with me? I'd rather go really hard at the beginning and then make it easier than having a lot more days of struggle. When you're trying to switch into fat burning and coming off sugar, it can take some people about a 2-week transition period to shift from being a sugar burner to a fat burner. And there's some withdrawal symptoms that you go through with that. So I would rather push through it in a couple days and reset, and then when I go back to eating healthy, I feel awesome. I don't have to go through those withdrawal symptoms longer. I had a lot of issues with blood sugar in the past and autoimmune stuff, so it takes our body a while to really start getting back into it. So, gut dysfunction, you've got to repair and heal the gut. Stop eating the damaging foods, okay? Soy, meat, dairy, those are things that have got to be cut out. And I know that those are staples. That's been staples in our culture. But there are so many good foods that you can eat with modifying. Some milks that you can switch, so there's like different nut milks, cashew milk, walnut, there's, what else was that? Hazelnut. And they sell these now at like Publix. There's tons of these different options with different nut milks. And you don't want to stick with one, you want to rotate it, okay? So you can actually build up a food sensitivity if you always eat the same thing. So I've had people that they drink a glass of milk for breakfast for 40 years. You're going to have a major sensitivity to that. You need to be altering the food that you're consuming. Again, think about in nature. If you were in the wild, do you have the same exact meal every single day? No. Some days you have this food, right? Seasonal. Some days other foods would be there. So we can't have the same things. You've got to switch up your nutrition. So if you're somebody that's been there, it's got to change. We always laugh, like, I was constantly, I needed my toasted coffee. Like, that was in the morning, my toasted coffee. He's like, you're going to be like 90 years old, like, where's my toasted coffee? That's all I want. But we got to have variety in the things that we're doing. I mean, I grew up, I got away from cereals and then I went to toast.
I like how she said that past tense. Needed.
I still have a toasted coffee.
Trans fat consumption, just real quick with this. If you buy something in the grocery store that's processed and it says trans fat free, there's about a 99% chance that it has trans fat in it. So the regulation of what they can say is trans fat free has to be a certain amount of the percentage of fat breakdown of a trans fat. So per serving size, so what they do, they shrink the serving size. So we say, well, we're under the regulations that we can say it's trans fat free.
So these are hydrogenated oils, vegetable oils, okay? So vegetable oils, I know were like the healthy choice for a long time. These, that was like old recommendations. They are super damaging to your body and brain. So our brain is mostly what? Fat.
70% around
You want it to be made of these unhealthy they actually go rancid. We want our brain to be made of those. There's no way it's going to be functioning up. You have got to let the plague stay away from vegetable hydrogenated oils. Anything key on the labels that you want to talk about? Anything that says hydrogenated.
Canola oil, margarine, other things like that are also.
Canola oil is going to be a rancid oil that's going to be causing these problems. And I know that was put as healthy oil, but it's not. Okay, so you got to really look into the oils. Okay, sometimes the food can be good, but the oil is what makes it bad. The oil that it's being cooked. Okay, now so omega-3 and omega-6. This is a major problem. We should be on average, the best recommendations are 4 to 1 is what we should be. They're finding the average American is 20 to 50 to 1. Some Americans are 50 to 1 in omega-6 to omega-3. We're supposed to be 4 to 1. And this means omega-6s to omega-3s, the ratio of how much they're found in the body. And this is because of the bad oils that we're consuming, the damaged meat. So when you eat grain-fed meat, so a cow is supposed to eat what? Grass. You know what they eat? Corn, soy. So when they're fed those diets, they're super high in omega-6s. And that's what causes heart disease. Now, a grass-fed cow is about 4 to 1 in omega-6 to omega-3s. You guys see that? So that's actually in balance with what our body should eat. So if you've been eating the standard American diet, conventional foods, for years, you should be taking higher amounts of omega-3s to bring that balance out. Because you realize you probably were at that higher balance of omega-6s, that you've got to drive omega-3s up. Or you got to eat a lot of sardines. How many of you guys are going to eat a bunch of
Who
sardines?
said who? Heard it out there.
No, I say the foods high
I checked during the meeting with sardines last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah. So omega-3s are harder to get in our diet. So you guys know like nuts, so like walnuts, even though they're good fats, they're higher omega-6s. So we've got to make sure we're doing things that are higher omega-3s. Chia seed is going to be higher omega-3s.
We go through a lot of this, ways to get the healthy fats in your diet.
But the easiest way to start is by doing a supplement of just omega-3s, okay? Doing high amounts of that to combat inflammation. So if you've had any memory loss, those fog, those symptoms that we talked about, you should be doing omega-3s, okay? That's an important thing to start to balance out. And they need to be high quality. They cannot be just ones that you buy at like Sam's Club or Walmart, okay? Unfortunately, there's big problems with it. Do you have that here?
So this is why, when we look at why we want to have a certain ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, is because our cells absorb nutrients and they detox and they eliminate waste. And if the ratios are off, it causes an imbalance of toxicity within the cell. It makes it very hard to eliminate waste and get rid of toxins. It makes it hard to absorb nutrients. So when we look at overall improving how this relates to brain health, omega-3 is going to be huge for balancing out overall brain health, brain function.
They actually boost serotonin. So these essential fatty acids and having the right balance of omega-6 and omega-3 will boost up the proper neurotransmitter balance in the brain. Okay, so you guys are going to be in your part getting dopamine back up, right? 90% of serotonin is made in your gut. That's why we're correcting gut dysfunction. All of these things affect our brain. Okay, but we need these essential fatty acids to go in. These are the dangers to look out for in supplements. The methylmercury and PCBs, these are not going to be on the label. This is the manufacturing process. This is why you have to know how your supplements are manufactured and know it's a reputable company that's doing these.
One other thing that when we were looking at these, the supplement, we won't tell the name of the supplements that we were using. Just if you buy your supplements from CVS or Walmart or a grocery store in general, just check the ingredients to make sure that you don't see propylene glycol, polysorbate 80, which are both linked to different types of cancers. Soybean oil and corn oil are what they're using to fill the remaining portion of omega-3s and stretch it, essentially.
Well, what's nuts is you're taking omega-3 to bring down inflammation and help with healing, and then they're putting these additives in it that actually cause inflammation and cause all of these issues. So it's so backwards, and that's why I was telling you, I don't want you guys spending your money on supplements that are making your health worse.
If you want to test to see if your omega-3s have any of the methylmercury or PCBs in them, you get a styrofoam cup and you squeeze out one of the oils onto the itself, about 10 to 15 minutes, it'll actually eat away at the start. You'll know whether or not those things are. You guys gotta do some science experiments.
So this is for kids. A lot of parents ask me what supplements you recommend for the kids or grandkids. You want to get a majority of from your food, good healthy food, but a child should be doing probiotics and omega-3 and D3. Okay, so these are the essential fatty acids that aren't in our diet enough, and also the D3. If you're not in the sun every single day, you need to be doing D3. Okay, you're going to be deficient in it. This and then the probiotics are going to be the supplements that kids should be doing.
We didn't have this in the office for a while because it tasted a lot like fish and chew when you do it. But now they reformulated the taste, they actually really good. So it's back.
Yeah, kids really like it. This is the grass-fed protein, so it's easy way to do your smoothies, getting into healthy, quality proteins into your body. And this is how you make smoothies in the morning really quick. Make sure your protein supplement though, again, it's got to be grass-fed, you got to see the source of it. And make sure it doesn't have aspartame or sucrose. This says stevia as a sweetener.
As a general rule of thumb, we're gonna cap the amount of protein we're consuming in one sitting, about 30 grams. You see that bottom bullet, don't overconsume excess protein. It's hard on your kidneys, it's hard on your body overall, and it'll actually be converted into sugar as well through gluconeogenesis. So we're actually gonna cap the amount of protein that we're consuming in one sitting. It's about 30 grams.
That's a key thing that patients overlook is they start doing too much protein and then it breaks down in the body and like Zach said, it becomes excess sugar and then triggers an abnormal insulin response. Okay, so too much protein can be damaging. You gotta make sure that you're doing enough for you, for your body weight and your activity level.
So that's something that we can all figure out specifically.
This is a D3 probiotics. If you're taking vitamin D, again, look at the fillers. Most doctors prescribe D2, which is synthetic. It does not work the same way in the body. Okay? So make sure you're doing D3. You need to take it with probiotics and with a meal, with fat. It's a fat soluble vitamin, you absorb it better. And if you haven't had your vitamin D levels tracked when you get your yearly physical, ask them to run it. Your levels should be 80 is ideal. Almost everybody that I have tested, they're in their 30s. 80 is ideal. Okay, so if you're not there, we can tell you 5,000 units a day is the recommended dosage to maintain. But if you're deficient, we gotta do higher amounts to get it up. This is kids probiotic powder, super easy to put in. But all of our food supply right now is causing a loss of all the good bacteria that we need to provide. So we need to be happy.
So I was going to have you guys do XC3, but I like what Dr. Aaron was saying. Tomorrow's going to be different. And to give me a little bit of accountability to be more active on our Facebook page, what we're going to do rather than have you all schedule, because I feel like the energy's not really.
We're finishing up. We're in the home stretch.
So it wasn't better, but then I decided, no, I am next. Let's all stand up and just do some XC3. It's going to be really easy. You don't have to run.
Let's do one round.
One round, but to make tomorrow different, what we're going to do is have a live workout via Facebook. I will broadcast it at 7, so it's going to be different. You can wake up earlier and work out on Facebook.
7 o'clock workout with us on Facebook.
Dr. Aaron's going to do it too.
7 o'clock.
So you can watch us work out, and I feel like I'll be kind of jerky. It'd be better if you did it with us. So what we're going to do is 20 seconds, we're going to do the clap. When you did it, we're going to clap our hands.
Okay. Good
So-
clap. As fast as you can.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's breathe a little bit harder. All you gotta do is clap your hands. Guess what? If you're starting to get your body moving, this is exercise is not something that has to be super difficult to start. See, you have to.
So tomorrow morning's workout will not be there will be no equipment, it will be body weight movements.
You can literally roll out of bed, okay? Roll out of bed and put us on Facebook and work out right there, okay? How many of you guys can commit to doing that with us tomorrow morning? Awesome.
7.
You guys need it earlier? You guys need it earlier? All right, so 7 o'clock.
So I wrote an article, you guys want to see it. Unless you want to stand the rest of the time.
Well, we're going to show you guys that it doesn't matter what your physical activity is. Every day you've got your hands, your arms are burning, you're using your muscles. We're going to talk about why exercise, getting your heart rate up, is necessary for brain health and necessary for regulating insulin and stopping that damage.
So, I mean, Dr. Aaron was talking about this. When we look at, we need to get oxygen into our brain to promote brain health. We need to make sure that serotonin levels are up, that our endorphins, that different neurotransmitters are in proper ratio. The easiest way to do that is to get your heart rate up, to cycle more oxygen up into your brain. So when you look at exercise, it's going to support your brain by producing new neurons and preventing neurodegeneration. The study behind it, looking at, they took a group of 93 different adults, and they just had them go through different metabolic conditioning type exercises. And they found brain activity increased across the population of the group that did the metabolic conditioning, the short duration, high intensity interval-based exercise. I don't remember the specific percentage, but it was a noted increase over the control group that it just sustained long duration, moderate intensity exercise. So they had them walk on a treadmill at incline for about 45 minutes. The other group, the group that saw the great benefits, was working out at a high intensity for only about 15 minutes, about 45 minutes total for the entire week. So I feel like it's a huge trade-off to increase neural capacity, promote better brain health by working out at a high intensity for just 15 minutes a day, 3 days a week.
So any exercise is good. If you guys are moving your body, awesome. But to get the real big health benefits, you have to get our heart rate up and down. Okay? So you can't be just walking slow on a treadmill. You gotta do something to get your heart rate drive up. And that doesn't mean like impact, like we're making you do a ton of stuff. It's something simple like we had you guys run in place. When we had you guys clap, your heart rate goes up. You just have to force quick movement for a short period of time. So it's 20 seconds of work and 20 seconds of rest. That's what you guys are gonna see tomorrow. You guys do a workout with us on Facebook. You guys should be breathing hard, okay? And if you're not breathing hard, if you're not sweating, you're not working hard enough in that 20 seconds, okay? Your exercise is beneficial. You have to be sweating, okay? It's actually significant, scary if you're not sweating during a workout. You got people that haven't sweated, you know that's high risk of cancer. You don't sweat. You don't detox. We need to get your body to be able to do that.
So the big takeaway with the exercise component, if you're a little bit intimidated, maybe if this essential isn't your favorite, maybe even if it's your least favorite, I don't want you to feel discouraged if you feel like you need to get in shape to get in shape. The big thing that we see is just coming in and doing it. It incorporates the other essentials as well, because when you exercise first thing in the morning, it sets a tone for your entire day. It's a lot easier to make better nutrition choices. It's a lot easier to have a better mindset. You're in a happier place when you exercise, and also a huge sense of accomplishment when you start working out and you just get to see what you can do every single day. The changes and improvement overall. When we talk about getting 1% better, the exercise is a big component of that, because 1% better each day is a huge difference over the course of an entire year.
You guys, so your dopamine, when you guys are committed to doing that tomorrow with us at 7, you guys know how much dopamine is going to get released tomorrow as soon as you finish that workout? You may be tired doing it, but you know what? You committed to something and you're accomplishing a goal tomorrow. So by 7:15 tomorrow morning, your dopamine levels are going to be skyrocketing. By you committing and accomplishing and doing something, and you're reasserting to yourself that I can follow through with it and that you can make changes, and that's going to get you moving up out of that downward spiral that you've been in, okay?
So, Dr. Aaron said any exercises are great, but why not work out for a shorter period of time and have way more impact and way better benefits? And that's why we do Max and 3. It'd be easy for us to just start a walking club or a running club, and that's how we exercise. But we want to get the biggest impact and biggest bang for your buck, so that's why we use metabolic conditioning specifically.
So if I'm going to talk, so we're going to just breeze through this because this is a big downer. I just want you guys to be aware of it. You cannot, so you guys know essential number 5 is not eliminate toxins. What is it? Minimize. You cannot eliminate that, unfortunately. Our world has gotten so toxic, the air that we're breathing. We're here close to NAS. You guys know when the jet's flying over, what's coming down? Jet fuel. They actually found our soil levels are higher. Like you're outside, your kids are playing, you're eating, it's like, it is what it is. There's nothing that we can do now. But what we can do is support our body far as toxicity goes, and then we need to boost up our toxicity, our detoxability of our body. So when you guys start getting adjusted, immediately after the adjustment, your body starts detoxing. Or I have patients that start sweating right after an adjustment because your nervous system starts speeding up and you start detoxing more. I look at with my boys, they get adjusted on a regular basis, they get adjusted because I want to help their bodies detox because they are under this extreme toxic burden right now. And what's amazing is we have people who have tried to make changes nutritionally or with exercise, but when they're getting adjusted regularly, it resets, it starts to build those new neural patterns. Do you guys know how powerful it is? Every time you walk out after an adjustment, you have a new neural pattern that's getting driven into your brain. Isn't that insane? So when we're making these habits lifelong, how important the adjustment component is with solidifying it. Okay, so I want you to be aware of some sources. So I'm going to go to this slide here. Go through this to here. So one thing that is major is dental work. They used to use mercury fillings. I have a friend that works in the dental field, and she's like, how we have to handle those fillings, you can't touch them, you have to have gloves, you have to have a mask on. And then as soon as it goes in your mouth, it's like, oh, it's okay now. So they have to handle it so carefully, and then all of a sudden when it's in your tooth, it's fine. Do you guys know that they found that it's called the smoking tooth? You can Google the video. They found that if you have a mercury filling, when you eat hot or cold, it actually releases mercury vapors into the body. So I just want you to be aware of these things that are happening. Okay, so if you have mercury fillings, it's something you don't have to do anything right away, but it is something to be aware of. You should be actively detoxing. If you have mercury fillings, you should be constantly doing like the daily detox system to help get rid of that burden and eventually look at getting removal of that. There's places that can do removal of it, but for now, in the process, you got to be actively detoxing your body. Make sure if you do get fillings, do not get malware. Okay, there's different composites that you can get. Some old school doctors still want to use them because they last longer, but there's so much research showing how bad they are. If you're somebody that has those too, have you guys ever heard of oil pulling? Oil pulling, you can do that on a daily basis to help to just get rid of the burden that's going into the body. All you do is you take a scoop of coconut oil, keep it in your mouth for about 20 minutes, and spit it out in the garbage. Okay? It actually starts pulling all the toxins and bacteria out of your mouth, and it can heal if you have cavities and stuff going on. Pretty cool. So if you have sinus stuff going on, oil pulling is awesome to do. So the next one here. So these are just kind of general sources. Teflon is getting banned in our country. It's getting banned. Wonderful. But if you have it, throw it away. Okay, this is not something that I say hold on to for a little longer so you can replace it. You have Teflon, throw it away. Because every time you cook on it, you're putting all those toxins into your food.
I remember when I was in college, I had Teflon cans and it would flake. And I was like, oh, it's just season is like pepper. And I remember eating this flaked Teflon because it had such cheap cans. Not like so scared of what it was consuming.
So looking at the products that go into our body, one of the big components that Lather soaps is called sodium lauryl sulfates. They actually accumulate in our bodily tissues and our body can't detox them. So sodium lauryl sulfate, look at those in body washes and shampoos, and there's tons of products out there that you can avoid those. They make the nice super lathery stuff, but they just get stored in our tissues. Our body doesn't know what to do with it. So many of these chemicals now, God never designed for us to put in our bodies. We're doing this. So you have to be aware. This is the Easy Step Environmental Working Group, EWG.org. Okay? Whenever you run out of something, if you run out of shampoo, go on that website, search the best shampoo products that are the highest rated, least toxic, and buy that. Okay? When you run out of window cleaner, find a better product. Okay? You guys see how you can slowly replace those? Use that website as a guide to put your lot of the vaccines, but it's still in a lot of them. It's still in the multi-dose vial of flu shot. Okay, so that's putting just all of those heavy metals back into our body, and it's something we can avoid. We can work on supporting our immune system in plenty of other ways. Okay, so this is just stuff that we want you guys to be aware of, but action steps now that we're going to be going through. Challenge. So how many of you guys are ready to do something coming out of this? You guys good? You guys ready? Okay, I got several hands there. So we're going to give you juice cleanse. You know this?
So with the juice cleanse, you have the 1, 3, or 5-day option. If you've never done a juice cleanse before ever, you've never juiced exclusively or removed food from your diet, I would suggest starting with the 1-day, potentially 3-day. The 5-day can be a little bit long, but I would start 1 or 3.
If you're just getting into this, we recommend at least doing a 1-day juice fast to really kickstart your body going into it. Lots is back there. You guys want to stand there? They are awesome. They're actually out by the beach. Is where they're at. And they come out here. They actually have samples of the juices, and they have available some of the 1-day juice cleanses right now. And if more people want to do it, if you guys sign up, it can be delivered to your house, but there is a delivery fee. They said that they can drop them off in the office for us and have it ready for people to pick up, so you can avoid the delivery fee. Okay? But there are some available for you guys to walk away with. We're going to be doing the raffle to be giving away one right now, but that allows us to get out of, right, when we're doing a juice cleanse, it's helping to get a restart. So they found that within a couple days of doing juice fast, you can totally reboot your immune system. Isn't that cool? So do you think that's better option than flu shot? Heck yeah, and you're actually building nutrients back into your body. And so if you're going to be wanting to just really kickstart everything, start with doing one of those cleanses.
If you really want a flu shot, you can pour some of the juice in the shot glass.
There you go. So they're going to be here. You guys can talk to them about all of that. Peggy's going to sign me up. We're going to do the raffle that we're going to give you away the 1-day cleanse.
We're going to be emailing out then the coupon, and before we brain restart, I spent a good amount of time scouring the different resources that I have for really great recipes that eliminated animal proteins that still follow our nutrition plan. So the recipes that you're going to be getting are advanced plan. It's a 4-week advanced plan challenge. We're just going to be removing the animal products from it.
So this is 4 weeks of all of your meals laid out for you. Super easy to follow, right? So 4 weeks of all your meals, all the stuff that you're going to get to exercise, okay? So it is literally in your hands. I just need you to wake up, have gratitude, and commit, okay? That's your part. It's waking up and committing to being different than you were today, and being better than you were today. Continue to move forward. But you guys are going to get all of this emailed out to you. You guys will have it by tomorrow, all the emails, okay?
We're going to do max sleep 3 times per week minimum. We're going to cut our screens 2 hours before bed. It's huge. Because when we look at the TV screen or we look at our phone, our brain doesn't associate, it doesn't know that we're watching TV. It just thinks that we're staring up at the sun because of the blue light that's emitted from the television or from our phone screen. So the reason that we're eliminating it is because most people have their TV run right up before they go to sleep or even while they're sleeping. And how much harder is it for you to sleep outside during the day? Our brain thinks that.
Actually, it's altered.
So what they're finding is that TV screen, blue light is actually calcifying the pineal gland in our brain and causing an issue with conversion from melatonin to serotonin. So that's why we see such poor sleep across our culture, because most of the time we have television on right up before going to bed. So we made it a rule in our house that we don't have television on past 8 o'clock. And then after that, it's just books or stories or we play games or whatever. But
you can even go one step further and start dimming the lights in your house. It starts to trigger melatonin production, which is associated with cortisol levels. So we want our brain to heal. Those peaking at the appropriate times is really important, okay? So if you start dimming the lights in your house, it starts to train your body in nature to be responding the way that it's supposed to, okay? So shut the curtains, shut the blinds, get all the screens off, read a book, have your family time, do your prayer, your journaling, whatever you do, and then go to bed, okay? That's going to be a huge component of this with helping to get your good, solid sleep as you're healing.
so this is going to be one of the tougher challenges we've ever done, only because it has a lot to do with the habits we've already created. I mean, mean, how many times, they found that sales are done, the impulse buys at the grocery store are down significantly, because most of the time, rather than look at the item that are for sale right next to it, the register, people pull their phone out. So they look at their phone, so the impulse buys are drastically dropped because people, rather than looking at what's going on, they just look at their phone instead.
So change your habit even when you go to the grocery store. Go a different way than you normally go, okay? Because it's going to start to train you that you're not going to grab the same things that you always default to grabbing, okay? Everything has got to be different, okay? Don't let your brain, you got to hack your brain. We're not following into those default patterns of things. We've got to help this retraining it, okay? So tomorrow morning, you're building your dopamine reserves and you're not competing by waking up, doing that workout with us, writing your gratitude, and you're already going to start yourself coming up. All right, so we're going to find out who's going to get one of the two sponges here.
Brianna, brain.
But we're going to be sending out everything for you guys. Look out for your email. So the email that you guys registered on is where everything is going to get sent to. If you need it to go to a different one, please talk to beautiful lady right there. She can help you if you need any other emails. For any of our patients here, like if you guys just need any help plugging in with stuff, just talk with us. For any of the guests that are here, we encourage you to get signed up for more events. You've never had your nervous system evaluated. I hope that you schedule an appointment to come in and at least see where you're at with things. For patients, make sure that you're consistently getting your adjustments, make sure you're consistently doing your home exercises, and I'm so excited to hear the changes that are going to happen coming out of this. So you guys feel ready? So ready for those things? Okay, love you guys. You guys have a great weekend.
Good.